In the quiet corners of our world, even in a familiar backyard, nature holds its most profound secrets. It was on a perfectly ordinary afternoon that an 8-year-old boy named Hugo stumbled upon something quite extraordinary. He was playing near a grand old oak tree, a silent giant that had stood in his garden for generations. Hugo's attention was not on the towering branches, but on the busy world at its base. A colony of ants was marching in a determined line, each insect carrying a tiny, precious-looking object. Hugo leaned in closer, his curiosity sparked by these strange little spheres the ants were so carefully transporting. He saw that these were not crumbs of food or grains of sand. They were small, perfectly round balls, almost like miniature beads scattered in the grass. He watched, fascinated, as the ants struggled with their curious cargo, one by one, carrying them toward the entrance of their underground nest. Hugo had never seen anything like it before. He gathered a few of the mysterious spheres in his hand. They were light and smooth. He knew his father, a scientist, would be interested in this puzzle. Little did Hugo realize that his simple observation was the first thread in a scientific tapestry that had remained hidden for centuries. Hugo rushed inside, his hands cupped to protect his newfound treasures. He presented the small, seed-like orbs to his father. At first his father thought they were perhaps just unusual seeds from a nearby plant, but upon closer inspection, he recognized them as something far more complex. These were not seeds at all. They were galls, intricate structures created by the oak tree itself, but they were not made for the tree's own purposes. These galls were the result of a remarkable interaction with another creature, a tiny gall wasp, which had laid its eggs inside the tree's leaves. The discovery was puzzling. Why would ants, known for their diligent search for food, be so interested in these galls? Ants are known to collect seeds that have a special fatty attachment called an elaeosome, which they eat. But these were not seeds. The presence of the galls so close to the ant nest, and the ants' focused determination to carry them away, suggested a connection that science had not yet recorded. Hugo's simple backyard observation was about to challenge what we thought we knew about the relationships between the creatures that live right under our noses, revealing a hidden alliance. So, what exactly is a gall? It is one of nature's most ingenious creations, a nursery built by a plant for an insect. The story begins when a tiny female gall wasp chooses a specific spot on an oak tree, often a leaf or a bud. She carefully lays her egg within the plant's tissues. This act triggers an amazing response from the tree. The tree begins to grow new cells around the wasp egg, forming a protective casing. This structure, the gall, becomes both a home and a food source for the developing wasp larva inside. Each type of gall wasp creates a gall of a unique shape and size. These galls are, in essence, a form of hijacked botany. The wasp larva, safe within its custom-built fortress, releases chemicals that control the gall's growth. The tree is tricked into providing everything the young insect needs to survive. The gall shields the larva from harsh weather and, crucially, from predators that might want to eat it. It is a perfect, self-contained world. The oak tree becomes an unwitting host, providing shelter and sustenance for its tiny tenant. This intricate relationship between wasp and tree has been studied for many years, a classic example of how different species can influence one another. The galls that Hugo found, however, had another layer to their story. Once they mature, these particular galls drop from the oak tree to the ground. This is a moment of great vulnerability for the wasp larva, still developing inside. On the forest floor, it is exposed to a new set of dangers. Birds, mice, or other insects could easily break open the gall and consume the helpless larva. For the wasp to complete its life cycle, it needs to remain safe during this critical period. It seemed that nature must have devised a solution, a hidden strategy to protect these fallen cradles. This is where the ants re-enter our story. Hugo's observation was the key that unlocked this part of the puzzle. Scientists, prompted by the young boy's discovery, began to examine these specific galls more closely. They noticed something remarkable. Each gall had a small, pale cap on its surface. This cap looked different from the rest of the gall's structure. When they analyzed it, they found it was rich in lipids, fats, and oils. It was, in effect, a delicious-looking snack, strikingly similar to the elaeosomes found on certain seeds that ants love to collect and eat. The discovery of this fatty cap was a breakthrough. It explained why the ants were so drawn to the galls. They were not interested in the gall itself, or the wasp larva inside. They were after the nutritious cap. For an ant, this cap is a valuable food source, a packet of energy to take back to the colony. The ants treat the galls just as they would treat a seed from a favored plant. They hoist the entire structure and begin the laborious journey back to their nest. This behavior, known as myrmecochory or seed dispersal by ants, is a well-known phenomenon in the plant world. But here, it was happening with an insect's home. The ants, believing they have found a tasty seed, carry the gall away from the open ground. They transport it to the relative safety of their underground nest or its immediate surroundings. Once there, the ants perform a very specific task. They carefully chew off the edible cap, consuming it as food for the colony. Having taken what they want, they then discard the rest of the gall. The gall, now stripped of its tasty attachment, is no longer of any interest to the ants. It is left on the colony's rubbish pile, often just outside the nest entrance. This act of discarding the gall is precisely what the wasp larva needs to survive. By moving the gall, the ants have unknowingly become its bodyguards. On the ant colony's refuse heap, the gall is protected from many of the dangers it faced on the open ground. Predators like birds or beetles are less likely to forage so close to a busy ant nest. Furthermore, the soil conditions near an ant nest are often ideal for the larva to continue its development safely. The gall is hidden from view and shielded from extreme temperatures, tucked away in a surprisingly secure location. This is a masterful example of a three-way partnership, a symphony of survival, conducted in silence. The oak tree provides the home, the wasp manipulates the tree to build it, and the ant, tricked by a tasty morsel, provides protection. Each member of this trio benefits in some way. The wasp larva gets a safe place to grow. The ant colony gets a nutritious meal. Even the oak tree may benefit, as the ants help to clean up the fallen galls from its base. It is a perfect self-sustaining cycle, all orchestrated by a tiny fatty cap on the side of a gall. For so long, this incredible story of cooperation remained completely unseen. Scientists understood the relationship between the oak tree and the gall wasp. They also understood the relationship between ants and the seeds they disperse, but no one had ever connected the three. It was assumed that once a gall fell from a tree, its fate was left to chance. The idea that ants were actively involved in protecting the wasp larva was entirely new. It took the fresh, unbiased eyes of an 8-year-old boy to see the world differently and to ask a simple question: what are these ants doing? Hugo's discovery has sent ripples through the scientific community. It reminds us that even the most common species and the most familiar environments can hold astonishing secrets. This three-way mutualism, a relationship where all parties benefit, is far more complex than previously imagined. It shows us that the connections in nature are often layered and hidden, waiting for a curious mind to uncover them. This finding opens up new avenues of research. How many other hidden partnerships like this exist? What other roles do ants play in their ecosystems that we have yet to appreciate? The importance of this discovery goes beyond the fascinating lives of ants, wasps, and oaks. It is a powerful lesson in the value of observation and curiosity. In a world of complex scientific equipment and vast datasets, it is easy to forget that some of the greatest discoveries begin with a simple look around. Hugo was not trying to solve a scientific mystery. He was simply paying attention to the world at his feet. His story inspires us all, reminding us that anyone, at any age, can contribute to our understanding of the planet. And so, a new chapter has been written in the great book of natural history, all thanks to a boy and his backyard. It serves as a beautiful testament to the idea that there are still wonders to be found everywhere, from the deepest oceans to the grass beneath our feet. We must simply remember to look closely, to ask questions, and to never lose our sense of wonder for the intricate and marvelous web of life that surrounds us. For it is in these small, quiet moments of discovery that we truly connect with the planet we call home.